We have with us Annamalayana. Annamalayana needs no real introduction, but in one line, he is an engineer turned MBA turned former civil service officer turned politician, and currently the state president of the BJP in the state of Tamil Nadu. I am Sreevas. I am a professor of international business and entrepreneurship here at the University of Glasgow, Adams. It's wonderful to see a good mix of students, faculty, and the local Indian community join us for this event live, and many more of us joining us online over Zoom. Welcome all to the University of Glasgow. Anna, wonderful to host you at the University of Glasgow. It's been about 2 months that you've been in the UK. How's the journey been for 2 months?
Professor, thank you so much for having me in the University of Glasgow. Important institution, 600 odd years, and you walk around, you see all the great people, and in fact, we are sitting in an institution that is named after the great Adam Smith, and who was revolutionized the way people look at economics. So very grateful that I've come here, and also grateful to be one of all the students and professors who turn up. And I've come to UK for the last 2 months, pursuing a fellowship in the University of Oxford. It's a Chevening Gurukul program for leadership excellence. So it's been a good journey. It's an opportunity for you to stay in a country, look at their culture very closely, travel, growth, and meet people. So I've learned so much. Especially UK as a country, Scotland, Ireland, northern part of the Ireland, Wales, England. So very, very different, very subtle differences in terms of the cultural values, very subtle differences in terms of how people look at you and what you learn from them. So overall, it's a good journey for me. And Glasgow was something I couldn't come last time. I came all the way to Edinburgh. I'm very happy that I'm able to keep Glasgow as well. Thank you.
Wonderful to have done a check box on your travel list that way. And being a fireside chat, we are going to have this chat the same way as we were talking off stage, which is why I'm continuing to refer to him as Anna. I was born in the state of Tamil Nadu as well, and in that part of the world, we refer to an elder brother as Anna, and that's the reference to this. Right? So if you are not having the background to why I'm calling him that way, that's the background to why I'm referring to him that way. I think it's wonderful that you have this opportunity for about 2 months now to take a break from the day-to-day running of a political party and reflect on the journey in some way. In classes also, we get the students to do a project and do a self-reflection, diary of sorts. So in a way, you have sort of gone through that journey for about a couple of months. What's been your key reflection, both in terms of learnings we are going to take back to practice, as well as any insights that you have from the Indian experience for what we might implement, improve in the UK setting?
UK, especially London, is the seat of world politics. You get an amalgamation of cultures, people from every single part of the world have come here and made their home. Staying here for a long time, it's a very unique perspective into how humans think, and also the technology capital. We can understand what is happening probably 10, 20 years from now, where the world is going. So it is very good for me to sit in Oxford, also travel outside to see the patent filing that is happening, the kind of discussion that is happening in a classroom, and especially in the university city. One day you go to one school of sciences, you get to see 50 years from now the kind of problems they are addressing, and you get into some very interesting lectures. You sit with some very amazing professors like you, and some wonderful students who are in their DPhil, probably in the masters, and it's very good, very enjoyable to listen to all these people. That is number one learning for me, because normally when you're in a profession for a long time, and that would be a very stressful profession, your mind shuts down and you're not in a position to learn so much. So now it's like you're a child, you're like a student, you roam around everywhere and pick up what you want. And second, there's respect to world politics, and especially we are looking at a country like UK, for all the great things that I've said about UK, but also the prime ministers have just got changed so many times, and a lot of churning happening in the political system. And a new government has come to power, probably first 100 days struggle and just getting a hold of what is happening. And every single issue is getting debated. Probably the tax rise, probably who will pay the insurance. So that is very good to see a democracy at work. In a big country, probably you might see democracy at work, but not very closely. But here, Or you go to a shop and there they talk about how some decision that is happening in the Whitehall in London that gets affected to a small Scottish business here. So that is very fascinating for me. So this is a country that has got democracy as a pure ethos. So that is the second learning and close you're seeing. And third, I would say is more about learning for me and what we are doing now and what we intend to do, especially in the state of Tamil Nadu where we want to go. And you get to meet professors. So, for example, just like UK is having problems on intelligence, migration, people of different faiths, and just the politicians are trying to find a way, the society is trying to pay to amalgamate and take everybody along. So you also, you have just seen a major riot in September, which is unlike what happens in London now. London is already in the good news of the world. You don't see bad news happening in London. So it is trying to find its way to amalgamate, take all everybody along. But just look at the students here. Now India has become the number one country where the students come to UK. We are number one for the last 2 years now. So lakhs of students come in, and it's an opportunity for me to talk to them and understand their perspective and what is their motivation, what is their interest. Because they are our ambassadors of the country, and they have a lot of dreams. Studying in different parts of UK, and then eventually coming back to India at some point in time. And you talking to them, you get an idea of the future of it. And here 8,000 students per year is not an ordinary number; it's a big number. And that is fascinating for me. Learning from Indian students here and kind of dreams they have, the kind of politics they want to see back home, and how we can fulfill their dreams once they come back. So it's an amalgamation of learning, good, bad, and the ugly, but more good, less bad, and less ugly.
Fantastic. Yes, that's really interesting. And we are sitting at a place which is sort of like the cradle where modern capitalism began with Adam Smith and Wealth of Nations. I mean, it's sort of so appropriate that you got gifted an Adam Smith Wealth of Nations book just 10 minutes ago. And we come from the land of India, which is the land of Arthashastra, which loosely translates into science wealth or wealth of science. So what we see here in today's discussion is sort of the confluence of Arthashastra and Artharashtra, which is wealth of nations. So it's apt that we are talking about India at 100, especially the entrepreneurship dynamics around it at the intersection of these two confluences. In that backdrop, if we look at the entrepreneurship ecosystem and its journey in the last 10 years or so, what we are seeing is it's now the third largest startup ecosystem, third highest number of unicorns. You have been a very close ringside view of what's happened, especially in the last 10 odd years. What's been your evaluation, reflection on what's going on in the policy landscape around supporting business, entrepreneurship, and development around it?
Professor, it's a very interesting question you asked me. I always believe the land in which we are sitting now, Dewa, a great man, and such a great person who was able to define a new era of economics and thereby its labor productivity, probably manufacturing process, everything he brought in. Just based economic theory. The reason I'm trying to say this is people like them, they unlock people's energy. So India is a country where long time back, people's energy got unlocked. And you're talking of full use of industrial revolution, you're talking of before that full use of enlightenment, scientific discovery. A small country in terms of population size, almost 1 point of time at 70% of the world under the control. We can argue about the 2 point of time. In India, probably I can criticize that it's not nice that we were colonized, but talking from the UK perspective, it's a small country. They mastered ship, they mastered high seas, they're able to travel across the world, they're able to master the choke points, right? Gibraltar to Suez Canal, everybody, they're able to master all these strategic choke points, such a small country. And they're able to dominate 75% of the global landmass at one point in time. So what happened is, at different points of time, the human energy got unlocked. So people are able to come out and be it trade, be it shipping, be it war, be it navy expedition, they're able to do it. Now, in wars, unfortunately, in India, that did not happen for a long time. The energy of our people, such a great land, land of Dharma, crores of people, somebody has to come and unlock that energy. And at different points of time, we can always say that maybe being a country that is under colonization or only supplying raw materials to countries like Britain, that could be one argument. But the other argument is, for a lot of time, our energies were changed. If you look at 1993, I just have some data with you. 1993, just after India's economic liberalization, 2 years after it happened, India's GDP was only 0.29 trillion, which is just $0.29 trillion. Now we are just touching 4 trillion. Just look at the journey from 1947, it took about 61 years to touch 1 trillion. Now the next 1 trillion is going to come in 4 years. And such a long time, a country of crores of people, different custom, dialects, language, north, south, east, west, the energy was not used for productive gain. And once the politics got aligned, once the governance got aligned, once people are given that freedom and opportunity to pursue, so that the will that you have inside has to get translated into a product outside. Now it is happening. So I'm very happy that you touched the second part, a land that is given Arthasastra, a land that is given the science of governance, and a land that is given so much to the world. If you look at some of the oldest Indian institutions, which is just rebranding and coming now, the Taxila and the Nalanda. And such a great land is just bouncing back. In the last, the World University rankings, US World University ranking, we are sitting in University of Glasgow, which is on the top there. And India had 43 out of 1,503. Out of 1,503 universities ranked for a certain quality, India had 43. Now you might say it is less. Yes, I say it's less. But 5 years back, India had 11. 10 years back, India had 2. And you're looking at institutions like Glasgow, which is 600 years old, Oxford, where I am now, 1,000 years old, Cambridge. So all great institutions were able to channelize innovation, technology, people's energy. India is just getting there, just starting. And the second argument is, yes, you said, I always say where the future is. There is a very famous quote in ice hockey. Ice hockey, there is a great player called Greg Christie. And somebody asked him, how did you get so many ice hockey goals? He said, I never go where the puck is there. I always go where the puck will go. So, as an ice hockey player, you go to where the puck, the ball, and probably will miss it. But he anticipates where the ball will go. Then he goes there and scores the goal. That's why he has scored the most number of goals in ice hockey. The same thing is happening to India. So, you should not look at India where it is now. You should look at where India is going. And where India is going, you can always look at indicators to say, okay, it is just touching 4 trillion, 3.9 trillion, it just touched. And probably the 5th largest economy, just over the UK. And next year, India will overtake Germany. It will become the 4th largest economy. The year after, it will overtake Japan. It will become the 3rd largest economy. Then it's a race between US and China and India. So we are just there. And second, if you look at the growth projection, the country that is growing at 7%, probably the fastest growing nation of this size now. Unicorns registered 114, the third in the world. The US is at 865, second is China, third is India. You will not believe, sir, in the last 3 years, the number of startups in India that is registered is 32,000. 32,000 in the last 3 years. And the total startup that is registered now is 110,000. 110,000 startup registered. So these are all numbers that is showing where India is going. I'm not looking at where it is now. So the startup, the product, every 6 minutes in India, there is an IP patent getting registered. Intellectual patent, every 6 minutes there is one patent getting registered. So signs are good. Everything is coming together now. Governance is coming well, politics is coming well, sense of democracy is sitting well, accountability of politicians, politics, and people, everything is coming together. Also, now the research is taking off, universities are getting better, getting well funded. So I would say from 2 to 11 is a great start. 11 to 43 in the world university rankings is a great start. Probably will reach, but it's a matter of time. So I would say India is all poised to take off. And merely, if you look at such a, people say, and UK the other day, a friend was telling, oh, you're just the world's most populous country. Yes, I said yes. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. Yes, we are 142 crore. And there was a time when you say, oh, overpopulation, people look at you in a very different way. So many people. So here you look at countries very small, probably Norway, probably Sweden, Denmark, UK, but very small, doing extraordinarily well for a population of that size. India had this problem, I say, 20 years back, people looked at India's population very wrongly, pejoratively. And now I would very gladly say, yes, the median age of that population, which is 142 crore, is 28 years. Even in 2047, the median age will be 37 years. India is the youngest country in the world. Even at 2047, India will be the youngest country in the world. So what is the potential that this country is having? So everything is coming at the right time. Young people and 380,000 people when they come to the UK, I hope at least 2 lakh people come back. The next 5 years, and some people stay here, they will do some work. And when these 2 lakh people come back, and they're not going to sit quiet at their home, they're going to start something, they're going to get into the service sector, probably get into deep technology, they will do something. And look at the people returning back to the US. Now, reverse brain drain is happening. There was a time when some of the best and the talented, they went out to study, and probably they rightly or wrongly, they chose to stay in a country, which is their fair choice. Now, many of my friends believe my home country, when I go back, it has got all the potential to fulfill my dream. So getting that confidence. So you can't stop somebody from going to UK. It's wherever the best education is there, they'll come. They find the best education in Glasgow, they come here. Nothing wrong with it. Now, as a country, how are we going to promise our young children sitting here? When you come back, the situation is conducive for you to do better. So now, for the very first time, maybe in my college time, I never had that confidence. I thought probably India's going the other democracy way, corruption and everything. Now, this generation is having that confidence. Yes, if I come back to my country, probably there is an opportunity for me to do well, start a business, make it $1 billion valuation, get a unicorn. So this is an intangible aspect of it. Yeah. Tangible aspect, you and me can talk about members, startups, IPOs. That is all tangible, you can measure, but intangible is that confidence. The confidence just doesn't come. Now it's coming. And it's a very young country. Also, it's a restless country. So everybody wants everything to happen tomorrow morning. So that is also nothing wrong, because the nature of youth is you got to be ambitious, you got to be idealist. And the challenge for all of us as politicians, policymakers, people in government is to work faster. Now, no, people don't accept mediocrity now. The youngsters here sitting in this room and Indian youngsters back home, they are not accepting mediocrity. They want the best thing, they want the best government standards, they want everything fast. And they want to wait for 2 weeks to register a company. They want to register a company 1 day like Singapore. Numbers have gone down. If you look at India, time taken to start a company, how many days it was. Now it has come down, but still our guys want, can I do it in 1 day? Can I do it in online? And even for birth certificate, why do you want me to go to a hospital? Can I do it in online? Can you just give me some technology tool? Probably an e-government tool, so that I get it. So it's right. So in a way, this young population is pushing the government also to reform. So sorry for the long answer, but I wanted to touch upon the intangible aspect, the confidence that this guy shared. I'm very excited with all the young, my brothers and sisters who are sitting here. When they come back, I'm very excited for my country. So when they all come back, so much depth of talent, knowledge, exposure in the UK, see the world's best practices in Glasgow, Scotland, London, wherever they study. When they come back to our country, and they're going to be extremely smart, and that we are very excited.
And like that's when we think about Viksit Bharat, like the title of this session is India at 100, and that's inspired by the recent book that Professor Krishnamurthy Subramanian, who is the Executive Director of International Monetary Fund and the former Chief Economic Advisor of the Government of India, has recently come out with. And in fact, his book really talks about these aspirations of India becoming a real economic powerhouse. 55 trillion, that $55 trillion is the estimate that he puts out in terms of how big the Indian economy will be in 2047, which is about 15 times what it was by last year's 3.5 trillion that you hinted. So yes, all the stand coming in is going to really fuel that ambition. And from a policy standpoint, how are you seeing the aspirations of this younger generation coming in, being reflected in terms of policies that are being currently conceived and envisioned for a Viksit Bharat? Because it's going to be your generation of politicians who are in the 80s kids, the 90s kids, generation of politicians are going to be a key pole position when it comes to India at 100. So how do you see you simplifying policies leading up to that?
So one thing you have to understand, when we spoke, sir, I mentioned about something called unlocking renewable energy. And such a big country, you can't have 50-60% of the population not having certain needs at their disposal, a house or a toilet, or probably a stable income. So you'll be very surprised. The last 10 years, in India and Bharat alone, 250 million people came out of multi-dimensional poverty. It's 25 crore. So MBA is a very complex economic methodology of calculating, not necessarily the income that you do. It is measuring whether you have a toilet, you have a house, you have a bank account. So it measures the composite index of MBA and says, okay, 250 million, 25 crore, which is 3 times the population of UK, 4 times the population of UK, came out of poverty in the last 10 years alone. So that is the building base. So this many people have to come up. And this countries are great because a guy born in the Midlands, probably the Highlands of Scotland, should have an equal opportunity to a guy who was born in London. That is what makes the Western democracies great. So the quality of school should be same everywhere. I go to a school in Scotland, the primary education should be equivalent, if not better, than probably an urban school. So that is why it doesn't matter where you are born, the country gives you equal opportunity to climb up the ladder. Now in India, of course, it's a problem. A guy who's born in a mountain area, a guy who's born in a certain community, region of our country, probably they don't have the same head start. So this, as a country, we are rectifying now. And India is rectifying because the human potential, wherever you want, the school should go. There is a rule, the primary school should be within 5 kilometers of the place you are born. And there are times when people have to walk. There are some elderly gentlemen sitting here, and they will say, no, I walk 10 kilometers to my school. I walk 15 kilometers to my school. My grandparents walked it. But this generation, you are trying to bring a primary school within 5 kilometers of their place of birth. A primary health center within 5. So, the primary focus is on unlocking the human potential. Bring everything. Use technology to solve a social problem. Get the last mile problem corrected. Take roads. So, this is one year this happened. So, I can give you numbers at this point of time. The houses that is spent is 11 crore. And 18 crore farmers, they get more like an insurance of certain money every year. These are all numbers they can give. So that is one side. The second side is creating infra. Technology cannot just evolve on its own. And a person who's flying in should have a good airport to fly. And you should have an ease of travel, immigration, just come out. You should have a good road to travel. The air pollution should be less. You should go do a business and get into the flight and go to the next city. Probably you should have a bullet train or a fast train or a Vande Bharat that is connected between two cities. That is the second part we are coming. That is building infra to use the human potential to grow. The first is unlocking the human potential. You create everything so that all 142 crore people's energy you use. The second part is you build an infra so that everybody's energy is channelized. I can't have professor's energy that side, Annamalai's energy this side, and probably his energy this side. On infra, or probably a social capital creation will make sure the energy is directed towards one side. So last 10 years, the number of airports in India doubled. In 2014 it was 73, now it is 151. Universities have literally doubled. The number of medical seats have doubled, which was 43,000, it is more than a lakh now. So one end, bullet train is on, which is getting constructed, more number of Vande Bharats. And every major city is getting metro trains, including Chennai, and just got the metro train to extension. So what is happening, Professor, is very interesting. This urban infra is becoming so big everywhere. You are seeing this mass that is coming in. So all of the now coming to the third issue. I believe create a social capital. Give everybody the tools. You should not discriminate anybody. Everybody should have it. And that is the government's primary job. The second, once you have it, or parallelly, you create the urban infra. Third, parallelly, now we create the ecosystem for it. Now, this is the third part we're done. The third part is more about if they start a company without harassment, without bribe. Can they start a company in India? Yes, it's possible. It's doable now. Is there a market for them? Yes. India is the biggest market in the world. And third, is there a transaction that is governed by laws of the country? If we have invented something, is there intellectual property protection? Yes. If there is a dispute, can they go to the court and get resolved? Yes. If there is a dispute, can they go to the labor commission? Yes. And the third one is very important. America is great because in America there is a sense of fair balance. They say who you can be, whatever be the color of your skin, you enter into US soil, and we make sure everybody the same rule of law applies. And in India, that is very important. A businessman should have a sense of balance. Suppose no, anybody can steal my secret, and I go to a court, the case will run for 15 years. And somebody stole my money, I go and file an FIR, which will take 7 years for the court to give me a judgment. Means people are not motivated. Now, the third is the toughest one, Professor. The third one is creating institutions. Because it is erasing 70, 80 years of bad memory. And any of us, you ask anybody in this room, would they happily walk into an Indian police station? 90% will say no. And if you ask anybody here, will they happily get into an Indian public service center and come out? They say no. Now, this is a collective failure for the last 78 years. That is getting erased now. I'm very sure with a lot of confidence, the informal chief economic advisor to the Honorable Prime Minister this book very clearly mentions $55 trillion is possible from the current 3.9 trillion. And to do that, you have to understand it's a leap of faith, Professor. This is the second interesting part I want to come. Because anybody sitting here, a simple mathematical person will know, India has to grow 12.5% from now till 2047 every year to achieve 55 trillion. No country in the human history has achieved it till now. China hasn't achieved it. Even the great Roman Empire did not achieve. No country in the world has grown 20 to 23 years, 12.5% every year to hit this target. But I think in India it is possible. If you ask me, it is possible because I told you this. The first 1 trillion took 61 years. The second 1 trillion took 7 years. The third 1 trillion took 3.5 years. The next 1 trillion is going to be 4 years. Because what happens once the base you are able to set it, then the growth is getting amplified and exponential. So I personally believe 28 years is the median age of population so young. Institutional structures are getting created, meaning the rule of law is there. And more importantly, there's a sense of development. For the last 10 years, India had one prime minister, UK had 6 prime ministers. I'm just giving you something to think about because there's a stability of government. So there's one prime minister, one party, there's a stable democracy, and there's a party of majority government is there. So you can predict the policy. What Modi will do, you can predict. What Modi has said in 2014, the same thing is saying in 2024. Growth and growth. In 2040, it's a big shift path. He said in 2014, there's no change. In 2024, he's saying the same thing. So there's a stability. So we have been seeing 6 prime ministers over the last 10 years. Now, all this I'm very confident will push India into that growth trajectory. And to do that, a lot of hard work is required. Now we are coming to the tough part. How to do that? Now, a lot of innovation, a lot of patent filing. And in this case, I will come back, artificial intelligence, AGI, neuroscience, biotechnology, lot of things. Having said it, still great countries are great. US, I was reading the top 50, you take the artificial intelligence companies in the world, 32 are based only in San Francisco. So 32 of the top 50 world fastest growing AI, 32 are in San Francisco. US has got 41 in total. China has got 4, and some countries are scattered here and there. India doesn't have even a single one now. It's a challenge. As I said, you have to go where the future is. Yes, we need to have very serious approach to artificial intelligence, be one of the top 50. At the same time, India is doing very well in consumer sectors, in retail, telecom, technology, yes, B2C markets. So this is an area of concern where this kind of kids, when they come back, when they look at business potential and opportunity where they want to go in, I'm sure they will take a huge problem and solve. And solving an easy problem in India is easy problem. And anybody who wants to come back tomorrow, start a shop in our country, and they want to do a business, that is no, because there's such a big population, you can still be a successful guy. But I hope and pray that people sitting inside this room, they will come to our country in 2 years after they finish their graduation course here and come back and say, okay, let me take a tough call. Give 20 years of my life to you. I will not worry what is going to happen to me tomorrow, day after, next month, next year. No. 20 years and give my life. Then one is to create a companies like Alphabet, you create companies like Tesla. Company has to be crazy enough to take a crazy idea and say, I'm going to give you the mass, I'm going to give you an automated car, I'm going to give you that. So I am more worried about these youngsters coming and not doing incremental things. They are going to talk about exponential things. So that is needed for the 55 million concepts.
And in fact, one of the insights that we've got from our own research, where we look at entrepreneurial trends across different countries, is within India, there is about 80% of the people who saying that they have the skills to start a business. About 80% also saying that they have the confidence and they feel there are good opportunities to start. But what is really holding people back is about 60% also saying that they fear about failure. So it's the sort of stigma attached to the fear of failure, which is sort of holding people back. A similar trend we are seeing also with regard to gender, where we are seeing that while India has made a big leap of change in terms of the number of female to male entrepreneurs. So in 2001, it was about 1:3. I think for every female entrepreneur, there were 3 male entrepreneurs. But last year's data, we see that it is just a 4% gap now between male and female entrepreneurs. But again, the striking point over there is this is early stage startup activity, but then when it comes to growth, ambition, scale, there's still quite a wide gap between women entrepreneurs and male entrepreneurs. So even you lead things like the Leaders Foundation and even the work that you've done on the grassroots through your Yatra, what's been your reflections particularly on confidence building for women and leadership development within girls and women?
Professor, a lot of interesting things are happening back home with respect to empowering our women. Our mothers and sisters are always empowered because it's a country that respects women the most, and unlike other countries, and India is a country that has a long history, not necessarily post-independence. Even if you look back at the last 1,000 years, women were the center of economic culture. So unfortunately, in the last 100 years or so, it has changed a bit. It is no more. Now, what has happened? The labor productivity, if you look, like you said, more male are in the labor force, less females are in the labor force, for a variety of reasons. And I don't think it is the right forum for me to get into that reasons now. As governments, as people working in social sectors, are looking to address those gaps and make sure our mothers and sisters get an opportunity to do fantastically well. Because only when they do well, you reach that 50 battalion.
That's what.
So that is very important.
That.
Yeah, now I'll try and explain, Professor, in my mind, what do I think we are doing now and what we are doing. Any time in India, probably 2026 or any time. So our mothers and sisters, they are going to sit in governance. This is very important. So on the member of parliament, 33% is going to be women. The bill is passed, it will become an act. The census has to happen. And before 2020, next election of India, next Lok Sabha election of India, we'll have 33% reservation for women. So you will see 33% sitting as MPs, policy makers, everybody. The 33% of legislative assembly will be. We have to do multiple things. One sector you do. Political sector, they have to be empowered, that's number one. Political sector, they have to have certain positions of influence, because their voices have to be inside the parliament, very, very vociferous. Inside the legislative assembly, that India has done, and probably when it happens, India will have more number of MPs and MLAs than any country. Every country can talk about, no country has given 33% at the highest table. You're looking at Lok Sabha MP, which is the topmost, the political process in our country. 33% are mothers and sisters, number one. So then the whole game is going to change. You'll have more ministers, you'll have everything. This is going to be 33% plus. Nobody talking about 33% plus. The second, what is happening everywhere is the laws are getting changed now. Pre-2014, a student who's in India, if she wants to be a combat role in the Indian army, she never had a chance. Now the law is amended for the very first time in our country, post-independence, from 2014, a woman can be in a combat role. A woman can be a fighter fighter. It took us this many generations to reach that place. Now, to confidently say, a woman can do anything in our country. Actually, she is doing everything in our country, but somehow the laws have held our women back. Now the third law is, women cannot work in the night shift. Now there are a lot of restrictions now. For a woman to work in the night shift, let's imagine one of my sisters working in a call center BPO company. There are time rules now. For example, she has to be taken home in a car, and somebody has to be in that car along with that sister, and so many rules govern this problem, which is in a way right, which is in a way wrong. Then, women can't do all those. Now this is changing by law. Everything is changing by law. Either by law you are changing, or by social custom you are changing. Last but not the least, If you look at the statistics of the survey, where do women employment workforce they drop out? When they come into a company, they work after engineering medical, they all join. But where do they drop out? Because entry point is okay, professor. We are looking at the top management role. The MD, the CEOs, the board of directors. So a lot of people are not there. Why? Because for them a significant drop happens post-marriage. A significant drop happens post-childhood. So now the country we are regulating 60 months, almost you get 60 weeks, almost literally a year off. Then they can come back. Then by law there is a mandatory provision in the code how many women should sit. So some of them might have grounds why the country is pushing by law to do this. By law, why certain women people are on the board, by law, why the country is pushing. It's a right approach because you have to understand there is a negative discrimination and a positive discrimination, two kinds of discrimination in our society. Women for a long time, we see 10 standards, she'll be getting the first number of marks. Many times I used to joke. In Tamil Nadu, if you take, in my state, if you take the 10th topper, first will be girl, second will be girl, third will be girl. In my school, first will be girl, second will be girl, third will be girl. 12th also the same story. But somehow, I think it applies everywhere. But somehow when you see the number of women in top roles in a company after 20 years, they're not there. So you understand, the problem is not with women, the problem is in society. Childbirth, immediately they take a break, they come back after many months. Where do they put? We don't put them the same thing, we give them something else. Oh, they can't work in the night, don't give them in the night, give them this. And this is a social norm, which by law you are changing. So I'll be very happy to say, in the ground you are seeing a significant shift. I see at least in my party that a lot of young women are joining politics just like that. For me, 4 years I'm seeing a difference. From 2020 to 2024, a lot of people. And they're very eager, they are hungry, and that was a difficult profession like politics, they want to break the glass ceiling. So it is happening. So I just have a data in hand. And I was looking at the data, I found the Mudra loans that the government of India gives, Professor. Mudra loan is a loan that is given to SMEs. From 2015-16, in India, Mudra loan 27,75,000 lakh rupees disbursed, 27 lakh rupees disbursed. 69% of Mudra loan consumers are women. Now you are looking at the SME sector, small scale sector, which government is giving Mudra loan. 27 lakh crore is given till now, the last 9 years. 69% of Mudra loan beneficiary women, which means the SME sector, there many women are there. But the problem is, why not in top sector? So it will happen, just a matter of time. We have to break it. And I'm sure my brothers who are sitting here, and they will also make it their life mission to create equality in the workspace. They'll make it their life mission to make sure that people are empowered, everybody is empowered. We should be at the forefront to fight and get workplace to be safe. And we should not, Mahatma Gandhi once said, the day when an Indian woman walks in the street with tons of gold, and that is a safe India. So we are ready to reach that. And the day we say, my sister can work till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, without any supervision in my country, she can come back home. The day we reach there, I think as a society we have succeeded.
That's really empowering as a vision that you put forward for all of us. One of the other insights that you could have seen from data is from the DPIIT Government of India data is what you said earlier, is the 120,000 odd startups that have started in the last 10 years. But if you also look at the same report, it's seen that they're concentrated in 5 main states. And if you go deeper, you will see it's few cities within those 5 states. And as part of your Makkal Yatra, you have kind of crisscrossed the entire state of Tamil Nadu, literally going to nook and corner of the state, right? So what insight do you have from the ground reality of what we can do when it comes to democratizing entrepreneurship, bringing it to the tier 2, tier 3 rural towns of India?
Professor, I would say this is a global problem, not only an Indian problem. This year I was going through the World Innovation Index report, and they ranked India 39th in the world, and the first was Switzerland, US were third, and all small countries, Finland, Denmark, Norway, all in top 10. I was trying to understand what is special in those countries. Why do they are in the top 10, and why India from 81 in 2014, we are playing to 39 now. When I found US very surprisingly, 20 cities power in US all the innovation. San Francisco, Boston, Seattle, 20 cities, they power everything. Switzerland, which is world number one in innovation, 2 cities power, which is Basel and Zurich. Again in Sweden, 2 cities power. In UK, 4 cities power. In the same report, India, they mentioned 4 cities which is powering India's innovation. One is Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Bangalore, 4 cities. And they analyze the number of patents that each of the cities maximum they file. What is that? For Chennai, they said Chennai is filing more patents on transport. So Bangalore is more on the digital side. And Delhi is more on computer technology. Mumbai and Delhi more on the computer technology side. Now, this is a global problem where once big cities are able to attract talent, and talents find safe space there, there's an ecosystem there, they go back and they start it. But use the right word called democratization. Now, India is so hungry that we need empowerment in rural agriculture. And all the urban startups that you see are of a different sector, artificial intelligence to machine learning everywhere. Now, India is a country where a disruption in agriculture is waiting to happen. From drip irrigation to seed technology to everywhere. So that is where I hope and believe the next generation of entrepreneurs who come in, they shouldn't take the easy problem to solve. They should take the toughest problem to solve. Because only when you solve the tough problem, you will become the Elon Musk of India. And when you get to the same consumer, same retail, same basic technology, there are already thousands of people in India doing it. So I hope that the kids who are here, kids who are watching and everywhere, that through the conversation with all humility, we are trying to put something in their mind or maybe thinking that take a big problem, put your head down and solve it. So the moment you think like that, you start going towards the goal. Agriculture, they're just waiting for disruption. They want hundreds and thousands of young people to come there, stay and solve the problem. Right from irrigation to every single sensor technology, everything they do. So I hope once it happens, then probably democratization will happen. Now, coming to the Yatra and the lesson with respect to thing, I found a very fascinating insight. I would actually put it in a negative way that the villages are getting emptied of youth. So this Yatra started in South Tamil Nadu. From Rameshwaram, we crisscrossed all the way to 234 constituency, we reached Paladam in Western region, near Coimbatore. I found rural area, no youth, only elderly people. And not only the rural area migration is more, in the urban area also, when you saw the protected environment is becoming less. That is the insight from the Yatra. Why? Unless you find a way to make the youngsters back in the rural area. So youngsters, I can't motivate my brother who's sitting here. India needs you. I want you to stay in your village for the next 30 years. He will say, why should I stay in my village? I'm not even getting a broadband. I'm not even getting 5G. I will not stay. But if I'm able to give that token, he'll be motivated to stay. I'm able to give you a good broadband. Abdul Kalam, long time back, he mentioned a concept called providing urban amenity in rural area. Pura, he said. So if I'm able to create, tier 1 is okay, sir. Create tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. And that will motivate my brother to stay closer to his parents. Then you will see, okay, technology is there, everything is there, a retail market is there, a good school is there, my son or daughter is able to go to a good school. You are able to create a playground there. The Scandinavian country is a beauty. You go to any country in the Scandinavia, village, there is a world-class football or a sports thing that is created. From that, sovereign wealth fund and the oil boom. Now, if you do that, which I think Modi is trying to do now, meaning you start building infra in rural area. Because in country, you can't just do it overnight because it's a country of 50 lakh crore budget. You are now focusing on the urban and now you are going to tier 2, tier 3. So unless you don't do it, so how will innovation happen? So you got to take technology there, you got to take schools there, you got to create a conducive atmosphere for my brother or my sister there to stay with their family there, so that they are closer to their parents. Then we should have a social life. In Bangalore has got the largest number of microbrewery in our country. Gurgaon has got the largest number of microbrewery. My friends in Chennai are complaining, when will more microbrewery come to Chennai? Nothing wrong. It's a right argument. In London, when you go, people want to have enjoy their life. What is the purpose of living a life? The purpose of living is work, have fun, and play hard, and play fun. Now, the third and the most important is how do you create a system where they have a social? Because 80% of the time is social. And it's a long way to go, Professor, but I'm just trying to put this thought because our friends should also understand that is the way we are thinking. It's not that we are disconnected from reality. And we are also thinking for them to think for this many problems to solve, creation of infra, creation of technology, everything, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, creation of social life, and smaller airports. And he should board within 20 minutes, take a flight, land within 40 minutes in a big city, finish the work and come back. And take a Vande Bharat at 6 in the morning, go to Chennai, maybe 600 kilometers from Coimbatore, finish the work, come back again. Or create a train in a tier 3 city, go to tier 1, come back. So if you're able to do this, Professor, as a country, when the policymakers are able to do, then probably you might say, why should I stay in a big city? And it's still in a small city. Anytime I can come to a big city and come back. So I think the thinking is in this direction. We hope and pray that this gets accelerated faster in the coming years.
In fact, like I have an observation to share from my own recent visit. So I was mentioning about all the rural entrepreneurship work that's ongoing and what we are seeing from that insight on the ground. So I was in Ladakh about a month ago, and this was a remote village which hadn't had roads until about 3-4 years ago. Post DUT, there were roads, and then the moment roads came, they said like, okay, now we have the ability to integrate our agriculture to the larger city value chain. So now they are thinking about like lychee value chain, which will link them to selling it in Leh and all of that. So I like when you kind of see those sort of examples, you kind of suddenly see road infrastructure being such a big deal. And the same we were seeing in tier 2, tier 1 cities like Udupi and Bhimavaram, where there are startups which are capitalizing on the digital public infrastructure. And that's really changing the game for formalizing the informal sector, for instance. And there was one instance which really stuck with me. I mean, so I was in Araku Valley, and this is in sort of private areas of Araku Valley. And on the roadside on an evening, I was just stopping by to get a cup of coffee. It was not Starbucks. It was just 4 poles of bamboo and the sheet on top. And she gave me a tea out of the cup. Had the tea, and my natural intention was like, go to my wallet to pay like 10 rupees. And then she showed me like a QR code. And I'm like, that tells you like 3-4 things, right? First, it's the fact that this lady in a rural remote community trusts digital payments. And if she has to have trusted digital payments, it means that she has to have had a bank account with her. And if she has to have had the bank account, she also needs to have had some of identity. And all these 3 things don't come just out of the blue in these settings. Right? So what India Stack and digital public infrastructure is doing in rural, in really connecting rural to urban or rural to the world in some instances, is I think a real game changer in what we are seeing in rural areas.
Professor, absolutely right. And it is very fascinating for us to see in real hand we are seeing it's a very fascinating process. Not educated, probably first generation, doing a small business roadside, could be a tea vendor, like you say, somebody selling a bike. And nowadays, nobody taking rupee notes. Because for them, taking rupee note, putting it in the box and taking it somewhere, I trust everything, just put a QR code, UPI, do it and go. Now, it gives you that confidence. India is ready to leapfrog multiple generations of technology. That's the and for many countries to reach there, they go incremental. Let me go like this. India has taken a tough decision to say, I'm leapfrogging this, I'm going there. And that is actually creating out. And more importantly, Professor, again, like you pointed out, once the roads come, the basic things happen, the development just follows. There is this ITC, ITC company, you know. And Madhya Pradesh and other parts where they purchase wheat from farmers. So they do tractor showrooms to a village because you can buy tractor there instead of coming to a city. Each offer is the departmental store. They look into a tier 3, tier 4 city to say, don't come to a city to buy shop. Shopping you can do here. Brands will come here. So there is a great potential for our country, and this is the disruption of what we did. Many people are doing it now. Innovation is happening, and for everything to happen, Professor, like I said, the intangible of confidence. And last but not the least, Professor, again, the experts were sitting here who eagerly come to listen to our discussion and understand. First year, you might not get anything. Second year, you might not get anything. 5 years, you might not get anything. And that is what the confidence is. You have to still stay there. Because this entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem is not an easy ecosystem. And they are willing to stay there, willing to spread, give their blood. Then they will start exponential. Because it's a tough market. All said and done, it's a tough market with a lot of competition. So I hope and pray more than anything, they have patience. Along with confidence, they have patience. They put their head down, first year, second year, third year, they struggle, they enjoying that struggle and coming out. And again, one more thing I want to add is ethics. And this is something which in business school we don't talk much. And ethics is more like one chapter or something. And somehow I see some great Indian companies also failing because of ethics. And that as an Indian, I feel slightly not okay. Some of our good startups which we are seeing now, but somewhere mishandling of money, investors' money, swindling, and that is not a great thing. So I would only urge my young friends here that ethics combined with humility, combined with patience, that is going to be a killer. And when they come in, the new generation of entrepreneurs here, and we have to create a culture that is transparent. It's very important for our country, what the Western democracies have. And we create a culture that is not only transparent, it is inclusive of everybody. That takes into account somebody who is differently able, that takes into account somebody who will not have a leg up in life. And as well, you said very interesting things. A friend of mine runs this foundation, Nandi Foundation, Morocco, which manufactures the Morocco coffee. And we had a fascinating conversation. And he said, look, Nandi Foundation, after we went in, one Mr. Manoj, the CEO of the foundation, he said, our first goal we felt is to empower the tribal community. So we don't want to purchase coffee from them, give them 10 rupees and take it and just sell it for 100 rupees and put the packet money in our packet. He said, this is a very ethical company. He said, we will create a farmers collective. Millions of Bharatiya tribal families will be a farmers collective. We will take coffee from you. The profits will be shared. So what Araku has done, it has lifted millions of people out of poverty in Morocco. Not only that, using this, they solve social problem. They will not have health, they solve the health problem, education problem. So I hope and pray that my friends, youngsters, when they come in, they bring ethics as an important component to the table. The ethics should be number one. Yes, technology is number one. Your talent is number one, skill is number one. But they should think ethics is also number one. How am I fair to everybody? Taking everybody along with me. Non-discriminatory in my approach. And these are things I've learned in my 2 months stay here in UK, sir. These are things I'm taking back home. That how many companies here are very open and very transparent. And how they try to take everybody's energy for the organization's growth. I hope India is also adapting to it, and very soon, not only do we brilliant, but also we will be.
And on the point of transparency, in fact, why I was in Araku was to look at the blockchain ecosystem being developed in agriculture. And that, in fact, has a fundamental tenet around transparency attached to it, right? So once the farmer till the end consumer knows exactly what's happening over the transactions, naturally there's transparency, and naturally the farmer getting more value for the produce that they are making. And the closely linked point to that is there is also work and discussion around, if you look at farmers, they're quite a big carbon sequestrators as well, right? So if you build such blockchain transparency mechanisms, and if you clearly map out what the land area of the crop is, now it's possible for you to then look at carbon market options for the farm if they're sequestering carbon, and that again adds to the farmer income. And just a segue from that, and looking at more of the Indic wisdom side of it, right? So given what you said about ethics, part of it comes from Indic wisdom about dharmic life and the Purusharthas and all of it. And in recent discussions, we've also been talking to cultural entrepreneurs who are, let's say, building immersive spaces around heritage spaces or building board games around heritage. And one insight that I've been grasping from these discussions is from a consumer standpoint and to an extent society at large, there is a certain degree of effort to a larger extent that they are having to put in with regard to decolonizing the mindset. So what's your insight on what could we do in terms of that trend so that there is a more seamless way of how we mend or mold the tradition and the modern and contemporize the tradition for the modern.
Okay, that's a very complicated question to answer, sir. Now, I would say the colonial mindset, right or wrong, has traveled for a long time, meaning a fear of insecurity, that you're not confident enough, that probably can you do a way of thinking in terms of education model, more emphasis on rote learning and less emphasis on critical thinking. And probably the feeling that we are not great. And somewhere our history has started only in the 1900 or probably 1850. And Angus Madison, the economist from Cambridge, UK, he mentioned in 1700, if you look at the world GDP, 23% of world GDP was contributed by India. So now we are contributing 3.3%. So we are contributing 2.3% 10 years back. A country that was contributing 300 years back, 23% of the world's GDP, the same country in 2014 contributed 2.3%, they contributed 3.3%. So what happens is naturally you get a feeling that, oh, somewhere our country is not good enough to be a US or be a UK or be a Scandinavian country. Now you have to understand that this country for a long time was used as a supplier of raw materials for the great powers of the world. And I'm very happy in UK and US. One good thing I like about the sense of history is they're very transparent about who they are. And transatlantic trade helped the US to grow. And Indian raw materials helped the UK to grow. And they are very transparent about it, which I like it when you have a conversation. But we should not harm on that's past, that's gone. And I don't want any experts to sit in Glasgow and say, we did not grow because colonization. No, that is all done and dusted, that is all thrown to the dustbin. Now we can't come back and ask anything. So in Oxford, there was an interesting discussion last week. The chapter itself was, the topic of discussion was, should India ask for reparation from UK? And he was very famous, Chevening Gurukul, who gave a very wonderful lecture in the Oxford Union debate. Then I had the opportunity to intervene. I said, look, actually we don't want reparation.
Okay.
This is, as a citizen, my point of view, maybe everybody's point of view. Because I said, seeking reparation means that asking from a position of weakness. I believe I'm weak, I'm low, I'm somewhere there. When we have just overtaken US, the world's largest economy, and when we have 28 years in the average in population, 1.2 crore on people, and we believe we want to cross this because the mindset has to change. We only want a simple soil, that's enough for us. For the Bengal is the way to happen. When some unfortunate things that happen at different points of time. When people are dying in Bengal, the resources are diverted to World War II, but not to the people of Bengal. We just want a simple story, an acknowledgement that we should have done better. That is enough. And somebody said, okay, what about the diamond that the Queen of England is getting? Can we get the diamond? I said, I'm not going to get that. That is for the two countries to decide, but UK is kind enough to give us a lot of artifacts. Glasgow. Last year, several artifacts came back to our country from Oxford. Our beautiful artifact is going to Kanchipuram, from Oxford Ashmolean Museum. It is going anytime, it is going that even design. So I just hope and pray that some of the important cultural artifacts of our country that were stolen, and people say when you go to Robert Clave's museum here, 10,000 stolen pieces are there. I'm not even getting into that. So there is a way for country to retrieve your sense of heritage back. So that as a sense of Indian, you know, oh, this is my heritage, this is 2,000 years old, this is 5,000 years old, I am happy about it. But in terms of money, I want this generation, I hope and pray this generation is confident enough to say that we don't want any reparation in terms of money, in terms of bring back our artifact. So in the mindset, it has to change that. Second, yes, knowledge-wise, when 380,000 people come to UK to study, it is because in the world, US ranking, the first is MIT, second is Imperial College of London, then you have the University of Oxford, University of Cambridge, University of Glasgow, St. Andrews University, all top universities are there. So they have built knowledge over a time, and you can't blame them. They are repositories of knowledge. Now I look forward to a day when We have IITs and all the universities, Nada University, Delhi University, Jagadhpur University, Patna University, all universities, we will equip ourselves maybe in 10, 20 years from now. I hope and pray that my English friends will come back to India at some point of time to learn about many things that we can. We can offer extraordinary things right now on cultural management, diversity management, and there is no ego in learning, sir. When England has got good things, let us come and learn with all humility. There's nothing wrong. There's no egocentric thing to say, how will India to come? Yes, you teach me that what you have. At the same time, I will also empower enough myself to teach you something that you don't have. So I look forward to a day probably in their generation. Just when 380,000 people in a flight, they land every year. A couple of lakh will also land back in our country, roam around, see. I think that is what they should do. We should get out of this colonial thing of saying that you took this from. It just happened. So you are not responsible, I am not responsible. The current English gentlemen who are living here are not responsible. It is not political power they are responsible. So instead they should build things like that. So politicians, administrators, people sitting here, we should build our knowledge base, improve everything. That should be the positive mindset as my feeling always. Of course, artifacts have to come back. That is important because a country has to respect the other country's identity. And India is very clear, any artifact that is proven to be stolen, please give it back. For example, Glasgow, all 7 were given it back last year because India was able to prove all 7 are stolen. In the Aspen Museum, that artifact was proven to be stolen. And Oxford was kind enough, you understand, sir? Oxford paid millions of dollars in a Sotheby auction to get it. Oxford could have fought back. But instead, Oxford University was so graceful, and the British government was also so graceful to say, look, since it is proven that it was stolen, we are giving back it to you. We are not challenging because they got it from an auction. The person who stole it gave it to the auction. So we also have to appreciate the British government in many respects. That they have gone beyond their call of duty, not disputed. Because the problem in UK, sir, is there is this act called the Museum Act of 1963. The Museum Act of 1963 prevents any artifact in any museum to be taken to any country in the world. So now the Glasgow 7 and the Oxford 1, the British government has gone beyond the act in a goodwill measure to give it back to our country. So that we should be grateful. And many a time, it is also how you talk and get it back, not fighting. And we are not bullies. And India is a very, very, very powerful, rising power in the world. And we have never been to war with anybody. We never tried to conquer anybody. And this civilization itself is never a bully. We are never bullies. Our grandfathers are not bullies. And our great grandfathers are not bullies. We are not going to be bullies. And we also should speak very softly, nicely. And when you have to talk to certain governments and get it back, US has returned back 528 artifacts the last 10 years. 528 US has given back. The UK has given 7 plus 1. Australia has given about 15. And I hope and pray that we do it gently, we do it nicely so that we don't hurt any sentiments. That's very important, sir. We are living in a time and space where we should not come and say, you did this to us, I'm going to do this to you. So we should be better than them to say, look, we are all in a world civilization. You got something to give it to me, I got something to give it to you. So in that spirit, sir, if we work with the decolonization of mind is possible, and of course some statues will continue to remain so, and for good and bad, and somebody has done good things for our country also. It's not that you can't erase the whole history and say that let me start from zero. At the same time, the Honorable Prime Minister Modi is very clear where the Indian history is not given an importance. The Bajaj statue has come very, very important. The person who fought for a country. Atmanirbhar Bharat has identified lakhs of fighters in the last 400, 500 years who fought. So that is also happening simultaneously. I hope we will become a confident country, but not a bully country. So India should never be a country that we can bully others. So in 10 years, we'll be a world power. In 20 years, we'll be a global power. And we'll be a top economy, 40 trillion, 50 trillion. But we will show the world that you can still be a top country and be nice to others. And not necessarily threatening, sending an aircraft carrier and doing this trade barrier. And we will not do that. We will do the show the Indian way to say we are great, but we'll treat you gently and nicely. Because they will do that. Maybe my generation, I don't know, but they will be sitting as MLAs, MPs, ministers, representatives, business people, entrepreneurs. When they sit 30, 40 years from now, they will do that. And they will show the whole world. The last 300 years that can happen. The world power is always a bull. But when India becomes the world power, they will show we are not a bull. And they will 100% make it.
And that's the sort of the dharmic way of how we go about. And in fact, there's also the stat which says that if we replicate the Indian model, there's probably whole world is probably sufficient in terms of climate change stats to continue. But if we are replicating the US, we probably need 8 more planets to really survive. And just the other closing thought on the same point would be like when we kind of revive Nalanda Nakasina, that also gives us the opportunities of bringing up more of the Indian knowledge system based insights into contemporary management and all of it. So I think that also probably is a pathway of decolonizing and then making the traditional for the country.
So the new education policy which the government has brought in for 2020, and 10% of the credit should be IKS, Indian knowledge system. And now, other day I was sitting in Chennai and there was a vice chancellor next to me. And he was telling me, gee, we have to, I'm trying to find professors for Natya Shastra. I'm trying to find professors for Tarka Shastra. Argument, there's a Shastra. Tarka Shastra. I'm trying to find professors for Artha Shastra. I'm like, good luck with it. So why are you trying to find? He said, no, our government has said 10% of the credit should be Indian knowledge system. And we are offering courses on Tarka Shastra to people, how to debate. And India 2000 years back, we have got a scientific book on how to debate. And now everything is coming out in the new education policy, especially on Indian medicinal systems. A lot of things are coming up, cultural things are coming up. So when this all come up, the true Indian value from science to social science to humanities to arts, I think will start coming out. And the problem with India is that our country is poor documentation. They are great at speaking, but we don't document. And other countries are extraordinarily great in documenting. The greatest thing about UK is how nicely they document. And this is the house they live from year to year, and you pay £2, you see. And this is where it happened. Very beautiful. Everything is documented. This country, everything is documented. Our country, so many things we haven't documented. So it is important that we document, put it in paper. Then only then others will document it. The group of testers and documentation. Only if you document, we all still fight. Jagadish Chandra Bose has invented radio waves before Marconi, by the signal. And that is an eternal debate for us. A lot of debates we still do. But since the great people, great scientists, fantastic, but everything comes down to documentation. Where did you document? Who spoke about it first? Which Western journal did it come first? Or Eastern journal did it come first? So now that is an eternal problem for our country, that because our country, we believe in word of speech and we don't believe in writing.
Samvada, right? It kind of goes from Guru to Shishya. Like this.
I speak to him, he speaks to him, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Now, Western countries, which is rule of law, unless they see on a paper, they don't believe it. So there is a two different class of value systems. For me, I give you 100 rupees, it is not necessarily you have to put it on a paper. I believe you, even your son will come and return to my son 100 rupees after. Because that's a belief system. So now the documentation is also essential.
And in fact, there are, because you said about the Tarka Shastra and Natya Shastra, I was in fact talking to startups which are using Natya Shastra for negotiation, conflict management.
Okay.
Tarka Shastra being Jataka days,
Okay.
being used as a tool for teaching in national law schools around Tarka Shastra and things like that. In Artha Shastra and Bhagavad Gita, we have kind of seen a bit more of that being used in management. But I was really surprised that Tarka Shastra and Natya Shastra
All taken up, sir. Everybody wants
to. Yeah, all of that. And segue from that, so the first part of what we have kind of discussed so far is looking at the ecosystem, the development, and its future. And that was all targeted at the students just coming out of the university and in terms of what they can expect. Two small other segues that I want to make is one, for academic researchers. So there are the people in the audience who are also PhD students, university researchers, especially social science researchers. What insights do you have for social science researchers to engage with policymakers in terms of translating research into policy insights and practice? And also, how can we better conceptualize and frame our research right from the start, depending on the wants and the needs of the policy going forward?
Professor, India is open to listen, and the sense I get is the bureaucrats are very open now. One of the days of closed mindset bureaucrats, you don't want even to talk to them. Now they're very open. And you must be seeing in papers also, the current government is also trying to recruit later entry people into bureaucrats. They want people experts to come out and serve the government and go. So these are all good signs that tells us that outside opinion they are valued. Probably you are somebody in Glasgow doing a professorship or a student or a postdoc. You got something to say on social science. Now, of late, we are seeing that government is receptive to outside feedback. And second, Niti Aayog has done this extensive handholding with a lot of other agencies which is collaborating with government to solve social problems. But again, the problem I see is because of the nature of a federal democracy, and many times in India, you need somebody to give the introduction. That's a big problem. And that, how do we solve it? Yeah. I know you, you know me, I know him, you know him. Then somebody knows somebody, and they give you the first introduction, you go talk to them, and probably they give you the opportunity to work. So that is something that we as a country, we got to build a professionalism inside, where a simple email will do, where I judge you by your work, not by the connections that you bring to me. So that is also changing. It's all changing so much now. I see a lot of young people, they come, they work in political parties. With our party in Tamil Nadu, we have a lot of interns coming from different universities across the world. They want to come up for 3 months, 6 months, see whether politics suits them. If it suits them, they want to stay back and they go out. So they are trying to put their legs inside politics to see whether they want to be a politician. So we are open. And many of us are opening ourselves to other people to come and see us. That is part A. Part B, whether this should increase, yes, it should increase. Whether the outside perspective should come to the government, 100% should come to the government without doubt. And I hope today the coming years, an institutional mechanism, right now the institutional mechanism, probably rural development, or probably urban affairs, or probably some ministry. Many times, joint secretary, that is the way it is working. I hope an institutional mechanism will come. And then we have public capture, because Modi ji collects ideas. The Prime Minister from 2014, what he has done is, you can give ideas and now yes. So the app itself he has made a concept where the citizen can contribute, that gets you can acknowledge. Not only people simply say, oh, I have taken an idea, thank you so much. No. They take the idea, they refer it to a ministry, then you get an acknowledgement back, whether it is workable or what you want. So Prime Minister is doing it to set an example that I am doing it. Probably the Prime Minister, because anybody should. Probably a secretary should do, probably a joint secretary should do. I hope to create this culture of openness and transparency will permeate through the system. Because it is very important for a country to grow and to get the $25 million in the future. And I hope to see more of it.
That's really encouraging. I think that sort of formal institutional mechanism of how we could engage is something. And as a sort of a step before the institutional mechanism, what suggestions do you have as a global university like University of Glasgow? I mean, like we have that strong India connection to an extent, given the next building is Majumdar Shaw's Advanced Research Center. So Majumdar Shaw and Biocon, they have a personal philanthropy grant of about $7.5 million, which they gave for, as for the larger corpus, for that to be set up. So given there is such facilities which has the Indian connection to it to an extent, what would be your suggestion for mechanisms that you could have within the university in terms of building up a certain capacity or an infrastructure in leading towards the institutional mechanism? So any suggestion that you have on that?
It's very fascinating to see the kind of Indian entrepreneurs or top people giving back to their alma maters here. Here Madhudar is here, and Somavir College. Just now, Ratan Tata, sir, reminds now, the great man, a huge commitment is being given to Oxford now. Then you see US many institutions going back. So, one, I would say, when this kind of great universities, I also believe they have a moral obligation. And 600 years, 700 years, they have a moral obligation to make sure that they try solving the global problem. And Oxford, I found it very interesting. They have something called Oxford Center for Sustainable Development Goals. It is SDG goals, United Nations. And they have a lab where they engage all the students in that lab. They try and solve problems in Africa, Middle Asia, probably South America. So it is purely voluntary mechanism. Students have to do it for their class. and no credits is given to them. If you are inexperienced, they travel to those countries during their summer break or mid break, they do not come back. So universities are doing it. I'm sure Glasgow will be doing it because it's a great university. But with India-centric, I would only say if probably you and a group of professors can start a center here that looks at India's current problem, engages the Indian students in Glasgow first into that center, probably they use all their brain through Glasgow University. Then this center ties up with the Indian government, where the children who come here from India, they bring a problem back with them. So when somebody is coming from a state, they have a problem, they come here. They see something here. Then they will think, okay, can I solve this problem because I see something here, or communication here. So, but how do these children, they connect to Indian government? So I think Glasgow University has got a moral obligation to set up a center like there is this poverty action lab at Harvard and multiple institutes in different parts of the world. So probably in Glasgow can pioneer India-centric institution, channelize all the energy, then you do an official tie-up with government of India. Then summer internship, let them come to India, go to Bihar, go to Orissa, come to Tamil Nadu, go to a village, solve a problem. Because there you teach more management than what Adams School of Business Management can do. Because this is important. You give a framework. But where do they do apply the framework? So the implementation will happen in the summer break. I think that is one off-the-cuff suggestion, random suggestion I'm in my head. Not sure whether how practical and feasible it is, but just somebody has to roll the ball.
I mean, like that's a good action point for us to at least explore as a follow-up to the session. So thank you so much for seeding that thought within us. And just opening up to the audience who are here, which has a mix of diaspora and students. Questions that you might have for
Thank you for that. So, my doubt is, when you are talking about the diversity of India, 90% of Indians, because that when you say, are you comfortable talking to a policeman, raising your research, very rarely we find Karnataka people are very lucky to have you as a policeman. Then 100% are very okay to talk to you when you are back. But the hard reality is, I think it's more than 90% are not ready to open their problems. Now, when we are looking for long term, you explain how India is traveling, which direction India is traveling for 2047. We have the obstacles we have, whether it's political obstacles. So we don't have any common platform where a common man can raise their problem. And of course, the whole station we have, everybody's not that okay. So do you really feel that we need to have a platform and where we can confidently reach the complaint without any problem of security?
The public services in our country, especially the police angle and where the common man has got the more weight, and has been improving. And we just changed our laws, which was given in 1861, and we just changed it after many, many years. We have repeated some sections, added some sections. So again, I said I'm not getting into the past to argue with your amendment. We're only looking at the future. Now, a public service in India is something that over a point of time, good people should come. In India, our public service multiple things, central government service, which is IAS, IPS, and IFS, then right up to Group C, Group D you have. Now, in India, government employment is the source of employment for a lot of people. People just don't come here to service many people. They come here because there is a payment ticket. They come here because employment ticket. I'm not saying everybody, but there's a significant chunk. So when you come for money to a public service, whether service comes first to you or your salary comes first to you, this is the problem. India being a growing country, a bulk of the people who get into especially Group C, Group D, Group B, bulk of the people see money, employment as option one, probably service being 2, 3, and 4. So this will change when a country grows. It's a process learning. First they say you want to crawl, then they say you want to stand up, then they say the child has to walk, then they say the child has to run. That's a process. And it is impossible for a country of this size to reform the public service overnight to say, or tomorrow morning the public service will change and all good people will be there. Good people will be there, but it will be 10%, 20%. For them, service is first, money is second. So this is changing now because when the country is growing economically, when you're growing economically, for example, police constables, it doesn't always keep telling, it doesn't matter who the IPS officer is. It always matters who the constable is. Because constable is the person who sets the norm in a police station. Because in a police station, you get about 40 constables, about 15 head constables. Then you put some assistant inspector, probably about 50, 55. It is a constable who set the norm. The inspector will be one guy, and half the time is outside the police station doing bandobast. And half the time the public goes and meets the constable who is sitting there. But what is the motivation of a constable? Is he service-minded? Is he money-minded? Is he corruption-minded? So that is where you get the impression of police. So you don't see an IPS officer. How many of us go and meet an IPS officer? Very rarely. Very rare. So most of us will meet a sub-inspector or a police constable to say, oh, police is bad. So that is the problem. So we don't meet a collector. You and me, we don't meet a collector. We meet a tahsildar, a clerk, a first division assistant, a second division assistant. We meet them because he gives you a birth certificate, he gives. 90% of people in a developing, growing country, public service is possibly not their number one motive. It is possibly number 3 or number 4. But for that, the economy has to grow. The government service people have to look at differently. And which will happen? We just have to be patient. That is number one. Second, you should also think about making your hands dirty. And there are 2 ways. In the ground, there are 2 kinds of people. There is a player, there is a spectator. And there is a third category called armchair expert. Because I watch the cricket in TV, I say, oh, Kohli in New Zealand, full toss ball, I should have managed to avoid in the how can Kohli get out of full toss? That is a bad criticism we all do, sitting armchair expert. Then there is somebody in the stadium who knows the speed of the ball. Oh, it's a spinning track. That guy speaks very well. Last time he took 10 wickets in Mumbai, the ball came. A spectator will have a bit of idea, more than a TV guy. Kohli will have 100% more idea because he knew why he played that shot. So I would say, many times people sitting here, the problem should not keep you away from solving it. Somebody has to come in and solve this garbage. And that is also a motivation for you at some point of time to look at public service as an option. And you can be whoever you are, you can do whatever you want in the next 10 years. Probably at 35, 40, you should make a conscious call, can I get into public service in some way? When Modi ji says, okay, you come as lateral recruitment, you come as joint secretary, maybe look at that option. Maybe you are a company CEO, you run something at 45, take a break, come work for Government of India for 5 years and come out. Or you want to get into politics, or you want to do something. So what happens is, the one end, the good people should start coming in. At the bottom level, because of economic improvement, it will keep changing. So when a lot of top people are not coming, that is my main complaint. My main complaint is not the bottom. The main complaint is top. Top people are like, okay, I got my first car, fine, great. I got my first apartment, great. Then my argument is always, why do you want a second car? And why do you want a second apartment? So at some point of time, we should know that money is okay. And after a point of time, it is only an incremental value. So you all get, I think you teach about incremental value of a product. So after 2 lakh rupee, the next 1 rupee is less incremental value. So this is where I believe younger generation should jump more into politics, more into civil service, more into cleaning up the public service. When you guys come, this will start changing.
In the interest of time, we'll probably have very quick 2 questions because we need to wrap up for 5:30 sharp because there's a flight to catch soon after. The mic is with somebody quickly that person. If you can take 2 questions together, that's also good.
Hi, Annamalai. Thanks for your talk. My name is Vijay. I run a business in Manchester and Glasgow. It's called Qbox Energy. It's a smart energy technology business. Of course, I've been following all the developments in Tamil Nadu. I always keep in touch. And I look at, of course, the things that you were talking about, the energy markets and what is happening with the situation in Tamil Nadu. Of course, my question is about how do we engage with the Indian market? I've been running this business for 8 years. Of course, the openness and transparency you both touched upon, that has helped me, grow the business, start the business here. it's because there was government funding and R&D support and competitions which we were able to get. But then how do we engage in the Indian market? So how do we start? We've tried a couple of ways, but then we struggle. We're waiting for we need a big backer, that kind of thing.
The very important one. I would like to answer this as it's applies for everyone. Now, what my brother Vijay's question is very, very important. It's like many a time we blame a Western democracy, we say, okay, this, that, and we keep blaming. But Western democracy gives a fair opportunity for everybody to succeed. US and UK especially, like my brother says in Birmingham, and that's a fair opportunity. The law is safe for you, white day, the law is safe for me, and I'm succeeding there. They don't think that fair. In our country, which as a politician I've been very vociferous over the last 3-4 years that we are, especially in my state where I'm in politics now, that our favoritism is actually costing talent. The government sitting in power, they favor somebody, and that released a lot of corruption fights, this, that, and they put information case against me, including the company which lost the contract later. And that is a struggle like you for me also as a politician to bring that transparency there. I'm really with them in letter spirit and really with them. So right now, if you want to bid for an open tender in the energy market in a state of any state, let us say Tamil Nadu as an example, then is it a fair process that do I get an opportunity? If you ask me, I would say right now, no, there's no fair process. And if they go to the appeals process, is it fair? Probably I might tell you it's not fair. And I'll be very honest with them. But I hope and pray that people like him will decide to fight. It is two things. One, in Tamil we say, another quality is not we say, on a child that cries will get the milk. So one end is people like Vijay should decide to fight. I'll apply it, I reject it, it's okay. Then I will take the documents, I will say, the lowest bidder, what is your qualification, what is my qualification, I will fight. Because many times this bureaucrats are like, sir, this guy, he loses 5 tenders, sir. If he loses all 5, then he will fight with me. He will go to Competition Commission of India. He will file RTI. He will go to Lokaयुಕ್ta. He will go to Anti-Corruption Bureau. He will write to Prime Minister. This kind of entrepreneurs succeed in India, which I've seen. Which is not Vijay's job. I'm not saying his job is to run a company, give employment, and help this company to grow, that way the economy will grow. But I would say it's a two-way fight. One, very well-intentioned people are just giving the hyperbole to myself, I'm giving that title to myself, with humility. Our fight is on one side. Vijay's fight should be on the other side. And it is only a paper, emails. You just have, because what happens, sir? This complaint has got a power opportunity. There will be some good guy sitting somewhere. He will take that complaint, leave it. Not everybody's bad. That one guy should get the complaint. He will summon that guy. What did he get the contact? Show it to me. So many a time in India, I've seen contracts getting required. So let us wait for the good times to happen. But before that, I would only advise you, there's no personal risk, safety, nothing. You can sit in UK, alarm say file everything online. Competition Commission of India is open, Anti-Corruption Bureau is open. Just keep fighting with it. Because what happens? All you need is an entry. The Indian entrepreneurs, I keep telling them, we have to give them that first opportunity. That's it. Once you give them, then they kind of hold on to it. But getting that first one is a problem. It has changed now more than 10 years before. It will change 10 years from now. But instead of waiting for 10 more years, we just have to grab it by the neck and go and do it. That's all the option.
That's really good answer. Like the stats says that like India is now, from our own report, if you look at India is now second best place in terms of starting and
it is improving, sir. But I want Vijay to come now. Yeah. He can be $1 billion entrepreneur in about 10 years.
Question here.
Thank you very much. Very fascinating talk. Talk about the ethics and ethical wealth creation is very important component. We have a historic legacy where the wealth creation has been labeled in an improper way. Things are changing, but the perception, which is a very important thing in the world scenario, is not changing about India. What are the things we as people living here, especially as ambassadors of India, what can we do to change that perception? Is there a role in universities, role in the embassies or consulates? Just to end there, before we leave the opportunity, I've heard about it, but I'm hearing and listening and seeing with my own eyes. The future of India is secure with leaders like you. I'm looking at a potential future Chief Minister or Prime Minister of India. Thank you.
There was very top, very well-meaning Oxford professor was in our class, top guy in his field and fantastic person. And when somebody was talking about the COVID application that we had, you take a vaccine and the certificates come, and when somebody was talking about digital stack, the professor said, sorry, I don't. Then you are surprised, like, professor, how do you not know that the country has generated 100 crore COVID certificates just like that? And how do you not know this is happening? Like, I'm very sorry, because it did not come in the financial times. That's a lesson for us, a lesson for professor. The way I look at this, in London or Zurich or all the great cities, unless it doesn't come in New York Times, Financial Times, Washington Post, probably it doesn't. So that is one part where we have to try and find a way that intelligently we as a country, we give information to the place where I should fall under information. That is number one. That is the country we have to do. Second, as citizens, anybody in UK is watching you double closely that they are watching their own people. And of course, people who come here first generation, seventh and ninth generation, even if the Bharatiya spirit is in the heart, as long as we live in a soil, we should be respectful to that soil. And we all should, even if one is a 1 year student or 2 years student, the Indian spirit always is we respect that land and we fully behave that we are part of it. That is the art. But having said that, people watch us more closely than others. So you cannot afford to do any mistake. Crossing a signal, you cannot afford to do a mistake. And even I have to put that line and wait 1 minute and cross that walking. Even if no traffic is coming, the UK way crossing and India way crossing. It's a perception. It is all 1,000 years of perception that you are trying to break for our country. And you are in UK as students. You are breaking that 1,000-year norm by you as a person. That's a pain I know, sir. Even crossing the signal, the way we behave, the way we talk. Your kids are so brilliant. And especially the first and second generation Indian kids whom I see here, who are born here, they are like amazing, sir. And like my tears in my eyes, they are like, they got the best of Indian parentage and they got the best of UK social life. They are like super. And the way they talk to you, the young kid, the politeness, the respect, at the same time dignity, and those things are lucky. Because the Indian parents have made sure that that is there and the values are picked up in the class and ecosystem are here. So it is changing. That is why in UK, the Indian community is possibly 1 or 2 in terms of wealth creation overall. In all social indicators, number 1, be it health, be it all social indicators, number 1. In US, very clearly Indian community is number 1. Indian community, US is far ahead of everyone. The US community comes close to ahead. So this is a very powerful demonstration of change. I can come here and speak, sir. Anybody can come and speak. But they see you to believe what India is. So that is second. And the third one is very important one, the thought. We get more forums to talk, sir. And many times, sometimes the divisions we bring to a foreign country also, north, south, and this, that, language and everything. So I believe when we step into a foreign shore, India comes first. And there is a very beautiful Tamil movie, Amaran. I'm not sure how many have watched it. It is based on the story of Major Mugund Varadarajan. And Sivakarthikeyan has acted. It is like super hit in Tamil. And I was initially slightly apprehensive. War movies, army movies in Tamil Nadu. How will I see it? Like house full every single day it is running. It is just running every single day. The other time my friend was telling, in the intermission scene there is in dialogue the hero says, he said, watch, this is the face of Indian army. He said the whole theatre stood up and clapped. People say, oh, from Tamil Nadu, less number of people come to army. Then only few people come to army. He said, in a late night show at 2 o'clock, the whole theatre stood up and clapped. And he said, this is the face of Indian army. So that I think should be respected. When you walk into a foreign land, that the Indian should paper over that small differences. I see small differences here and there. I think that is for all of us to rectify it. 3 things is my humble submission, sir. But you are living in this land, you know it better. But I'm a foreign guy here for some 3 months. I'm trying to give my wisdom. Thank you.
That I think is a fantastic. In fact, the purpose of us putting together this is one of the third point that you had, right? Like having these forums are mechanisms by which we can bring the thought of what's happening in India and sort of global. So thank you so much, Anna, for making this visit to us. Thank you so much for the University of Glasgow team, Paul from the knowledge team, Connor from the comms team for sort of pulling this all together in a 2-week span. Managing, coordinating, setting it all up. So thank you so much for the Glasgow team, and thank you so much for all of you joining us.